Hey there everybody, it's Russian Pathless Peld, and we've got another special shop visit just for you guys. We're here in Portland, Oregon at a new shop called Golden Pliers, and we're here with Kevin and Becky. This is kind of like three things going on at once, like what? At least. So how would you describe the space?
People ask like, what's going on in here? And we say like a bike shop, first and foremost. Like we're really repair focused and like we host events, but they're pretty usually bike centric. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that like touch on the bike industry and the bike community, but like repair and bike things are central to what's going on in here.
So over there it looks like you guys have a kind of coffee shop component, repair component, and you do makeshift your bags and you do all the sewing here as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to start by giving us a quick tour and then we'll...
Sure. Yeah, let's do a tour here. We have central big table. Usually we have a bike that we like to feature, focus on. Right now we've got an all-city electric queen. It's their newer model of that. A little different paint job, a little bit more subdued, but still rad. Mm-hmm. Good shreddy bike for like bike packing, hardtail nut bike. That's from Safety Pizza. They started making some little sashes and they sent that to us.
Yeah.
A little bit of flair.
Let's go over here because there's stuff that you don't see at other bike shops, like jorts.
We've got jorts. Our friends Nam and Ultra Romance, Benny. They sent us a package, and we're like, okay, well, you sent us your stinky shorts. We'll put them on display and make it art. And so we have it displayed as an art piece here by Ronaldo Ronnie Romance. Uh-huh. What's
up with the camp kitchen stuff? You guys had an event around stoves recently?
Oh yeah. Back up. This is kind of a funny display. This space used to be a wine bar, and they built out, this was like this little fireplace thing, but it's weird because it's like eye level, and it wasn't like a warm yourself logs kind of thing. We were just like, what do we do with that? So we covered it in wood, and we were like, this is going to be like a kind of terrarium, like shadow box thing.
Right.
And then this is from like reptile, like terrarium type background thing. So we decided to have like an Old West theme or like a desert theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so we use that to feature like some of our camping and coffee stuff.
And I see you guys have a cool selection of pan racer tires, some supple tires from Compass.
Yeah, we kind of have like the big mix of kind of what we like, with the pan racer stuff. The Gravel Kings have a great tread pattern, both in the Slick and the SK. They started doing the new fun colors.
So what's over here? I notice you're carrying a brand that you don't typically see in the bike shop. What's Duckworth?
Duckworth is one of the only all made in the U.S. Wool clothing manufacturers. So the wool comes from Montana, from sheep raised in Montana, and then it's spun and sewn in either Montana or North Carolina. So
I see Safety Pizza. What's this? Is this a Simworks?
That is a new front rack from Simworks.
Oh, cool.
This is their Obento rack.
Okay.
And so a good way of thinking about it is it's like a lot like the Nito Marks rack, but with a much bigger platform.
Okay. So anything else that you guys kind of carry that you wouldn't see in another bike shop?
Well, we did carry bongs, but we're fresh out of titanium bongs right now. We had dangle bongs here. We still have like a couple of their little nug hugger pipes and whatnot.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's definitely a little different than what you'd see in a normal bike shop.
Did those go really quickly?
They did. Yeah.
So let's talk about your corner. So you make makeshifter bags. How long have you been doing that?
Officially, I've been in business for about 3 years. And until we moved into this place, it was like a totally home-based business. We're just working out of a spare room in our house.
Yeah.
Kind of tight. There's usually just myself, sometimes one other person working. But just a cutting table. We cut everything by hand with a rotary cutter. Little tool board. You're seeing some like chaos right now because I'm sort of doing some redesigning and prototyping, which is a lot of like taking things apart and putting them back together. This is the machine that I started the business on. It's a home machine. It's the only home machine that Juki makes. It's technically for quilting, but it has industrial hooks, so it's like such a workhorse.
Let's take a look at a couple of your bags. Like, what do you sell the most of, and like, what's your current favorite?
We're on the display area. Of course, the snack hole, which probably more people, if they're familiar with me or my brand at all, it's probably the snack hole.
Okay.
And it's an insulated wax canvas stem bag, so it goes on your handlebars and stem, and it's just kind of a great way to keep anything you want handy while you're riding.
So is there any significance in the triangles?
When I started making bags, I was looking at like some American craft traditions and looking at like quilting, and I knew I wanted to incorporate some wool, which is also a fun way to like really mix up the color. So at first they were really elaborate, and I just started like cutting up wool and kind of quilting all these pieces together, and then as I was making more of these, I was like, all right, this needs to be simplified for production's sake, and it just kind of pared down to those two triangles, which just kind of expanded in other products too.
So I see this print. I'm assuming that the person that did the art on the wall is the same artist, or?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, that's you?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just like a Sharpie doodle that I had some fun with and printed it on tote bags.
What was the process to get that up? Is there like pencil art underneath?
Oh, that's funny. We were like,
Did you put a
I had
projector?
this elaborate plan of using a projector, and like ordered one and didn't like it and sent it back, and finally like I don't know, I was like gonna sketch it all out, and by the end of the day I was like, screw this, and I just started like painting.
Oh, wow.
Which is the same way that I've like drawn this. There's not a lot of editing that happens. It's just kind of like doodling and filling stuff in, and it ended up being this awesome sort of therapeutic process while we're building out of like stressing out over insurance or whatever, and then I would just be like, I'm done, I'm gonna paint for 2 hours, and like get up on the ladder and add a little more work to it.
All right, so tell us about this part of the shop.
So we knew like going into opening up a bike shop that it couldn't just be a retail repair space. Like you really, we're not going to fight the tide of like people buying things online increasingly. Like, but what people do want is a place to meet. They want, you know, community. They want a meetup space. And so we knew we needed to have some like food and beverage aspect of it. And I side hustled as a server for most of my life, for years and years, especially when I was getting Makeshifter up and going. So I kind of had that food and beverage background and some beer knowledge, and that felt like a pretty like comfortable space for me to include food and drink. So we have 4 beers on draft, and those kind of like rotate through seasonally. I worked for breweries for like 5-6 years before opening this place, so that's like my fun place is to order beer. We have like bulk snacks and jars, so you can get a little salty treat, try to keep them somewhat nutritious. We do like pour over coffee by the cup too. We don't do espresso, just keep it really simple with like a really nice locally roasted drip coffee. We have some like packaged snacks, so if people stop in on their way to a ride, they can take like some bars with them. And then we get baked goods from 3 local bakeries.
Oh, cool.
2 of them are all vegan, so we have a lot of vegan snacks too.
Cool. So who do you get here? Is it mostly just like the diehard bike nerd, or do you get like the bike curious?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we it was funny when we opened, like people were just coming out of the woodwork, like, oh, I'm from like LA, like coming in, oh, I heard about you, and we're like, really? So we were instantly sort of like a tourist destination for like bike tourism. But people from the neighborhood would still walk by and kind of be like, what's going on in there? And so we had a grand opening at the end of the summer, and that part of that was just to like be out on the sidewalk, like be out in the neighborhood and just say like, hey, you can come in here and get coffee. Like, don't be afraid. Like, and I think a lot of people thought maybe we were just a coffee shop or just a bike shop or whatever. And like, we kind of invited in the neighborhood. So we've gotten a little more like foot traffic, and people just want to spot to have a cup of coffee and stuff like that. So,
cool. Awesome. Your bike shop feels like super unique. Like, how would you describe how it's different from like others, or like what's your like value proposition here?
Just going off of what makes me feel cozy, like record stores, coffee shops, bookstores, things like that just have that homey feel. You know, we see a lot of like retail slat wall and, you know, bright lights and things like that just kind of isn't very inviting. Great, you know, for getting product out there, but I wanted to make something ours. And
like one of the things that we talk a lot about on the YouTube channel is you know, community bike shops. Do you feel like the community has really embraced the store in the 3 months that you guys have been open?
Around here, there's not many bike shops in this zone here, and we have like north, south, east, west bike traffic that comes through here, and folks came in and they were super happy that there's a bike shop here. You know, it feels nice to also not just have like, oh, here's our thing that we think is great, but then people come in and be like, oh, you're actually serving a need, and they're stoked on being like, oh, I'm glad there's a bike shop here because I just got this flat, or I've got this bike that I don't know what to do with. Bring it in. Yeah, it's been really positive.
Well, thanks so much, Kevin and Becky, for letting us show the internets your awesome new space. If you guys find yourselves in Portland, Oregon, be sure to stop at Golden Pliers, say hi to Becky, buy some bags, get a coffee at the coffee shop, sandwiches, etc. And if you like this content, like, share, subscribe, and as always, keep the supple side down.